Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. We're just a couple of days away from the minor tournaments getting underway. Atlanta FaZe are starting in the first round of the tournament. They play Miami Heretics. If they lose that series, they will be out top 12. And even if they win, they will play Los Angeles Thieves, potentially a bogey team for them in the next rounds. They are scrimming a lot over the last few days. Loads of challenger scrims, loads of sets. And again, we are seeing some of the results coming through last night. This Omit team featuring Neptune, Fellow and Co. smoking FaZe last night. 6-2 map count. What is going on at the Atlanta FaZe facility? Yes, these are practice scrims, but the storylines continue, and even Shotzzy is now talking about it, that yes, as far as he is concerned, based on practices that he has seen and maybe they have participated in, OpTic versus FaZe, that FaZe are in a serious slump at the moment. Can they get out of it in time? Is this terminal for that team and roster? Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Just first of all, a fair few clips here discussing why the game is a shambles. Bose is talking about that it's chalked. Obviously, Scump and many others have talked about the problems in the game as of late. Look, I'm preaching to the choir here. Even Scrappy last night was just saying that the game is in basically an unplayable condition, certainly when it comes down to ranked and, you know, so many other problems like it. I will say nothing but credit belongs to Havoc, I would say, for how he's actually committed and grinding through this over the last several months and even, to be fair, years at this point. He did talk the other day that, look, he's probably not going to come back to competing, and fair play, why would he? The reality is there are many players in this league, maybe even most players in the league, who would trade their spot for Havoc if they could. Retired player, killing it on the content side, streaming, and okay, maybe some of those pro players in the league don't actually want to grind out ranked all the time, but I guess just trading the situation, because lots of the players in the league, yeah, sure, they're still doing okay, but they're not making the bread that some of the streamers are, and a lot of these guys, even Tens, for example, Valorant Pro, one of the greatest players we've seen, but you know, for the Valorant scene, he retires controversially just because he was so early in his career, not won what he could have won, but it made more sense for him to stream. I'm sure there are players in the league today that would do that if they could. And sure, grinding ranked all day, I mean, I don't see like it feels like too much fun to me, but at the same time, grinding COD all day playing scrims, maybe it doesn't tick the boxes of some of these pros too much either. We've seen lots of scrims over the last couple of days. This, for example, were some serious plays happening between OpTic and, of course, the Gentlemates guys over the last couple. Here was Dashy smoking this guy, smoking this guy, smoking this guy on the Hacienda, then goes down. JP thought, yeah, damn, this guy is pretty nice on this map. Pretty nice at this game, Dashy, but certainly on Hacienda, he seems like a bit of a force to be reckoned with at the moment. We've seen some other scrims as well, though, happening, and especially when it comes down to Atlanta FaZe. Asim has not been too happy about the situation in challenges. His team lost to the Vegas Falcons Academy the other day, I think to qualify for the Elite. So Asim, of course, is in this tricky spot. He's been in the league over the last couple of years. I think that Asim is a player who, we usually talk about it, at the start of games, tends to be the best version of himself as a player. As the year goes on, it's a bit more of a question mark how impactful he is still going to remain. And over the last couple of years, people have said, oh, friendship cheese, you know, Zuma's trying to get him back in the league and all this, and, you know, whatever, you can have your perspective on it. The question is he going to get that chance again? Because he's grinded in challenges this year, and I'm sure he's still okay, but as he says, he's running into problems in challenges, either teammates getting booted off, having packet loss. It's you know, super frustrating for Asim, it seems, right now, not being able to achieve what he wants to in challenges, and then of course that limits the possibility of getting back into the CDL either. But let's talk about these FaZe series and what Shotzzy had to say about it, because we've seen lots of these over the last few days, and to be fair, not all of them have been published and talked about. So I think FaZe played Arcity's team the other day and they won 5-0 or something, right? So, you know, FaZe can still win scrims comfortably against teams they should beat, but the key talking point here is not the results, it's more the comparison between what the results are and what they used to be. Every pro in the league will tell you, as will the FaZe guys, as will all the analysts and coaches, that for the last several years, FaZe have ran pockets in scrims. In the Cold War year where they dominated, their scrim record was probably the best we've ever seen in competitive Call of Duty. I think that Mack published it at some point and showed the amount of map wins versus map losses in practice. And it's just always how it's been. FaZe have always been godlike in scrims. And it's just a known thing in COD. Not going to happen forever, maybe, and it's not always the most relevant statistic, but for many of those years, FaZe have been excellent in scrims, pretty excellent in matches, certainly in the qualifiers. They'll go to LAN, they'll do very well, make the finals and lose. That's kind of been the FaZe trajectory over the last few years. But at least FaZe, because they're winning all their scrims, they know, they're confident, they're playing good COD, and I think FaZe have had a general feeling, at least as players, that okay, they go to the event, when they make the finals, people talk about mental blocks, whatever, but I think FaZe are confident going into tournaments over the last few years because they know that they're beating basically everyone in scrims, they know they're playing at a level that's good enough to win the event, and whether they win it or not, sometimes they've run up against teams in the finals that have just played godlike, and, you know, there's obviously some luck involved as well in terms of who you play in the finals, and these type of questions, but the reality is FaZe haven't achieved what they could have achieved over the last couple of years in terms of event victories, but they were still confident going into those tournaments in large part due to their good practice, and also even just as a fan watching the games, whenever FaZe was still in the tournaments, you know, over the last few years, there has always been a feeling that, you know, FaZe can still win this. FaZe might be in losers, you know, they might have dropped down early on, which is very rare if they did, but if they did, people would still think, damn, until FaZe are out, like, they've still got a chance. And I still kind of feel that way. But on this game, there's no doubt in my mind that FaZe are not going into the mine. They're anywhere near as the favourites. I've not seen anyone that has them making the grand finals. And, you know, which would be pretty shocking to say about FaZe not long ago, but that is now the reality of where they are. So it's the comparison there, and also what it means for the way they're approaching right now. If you've dominated practice for years and now you're struggling, why are you struggling? Is there some problem with the way that the team is approaching the game that they're trying to solve? That seems to me to be part of the problem, but also, you know, can they be confident going into the tournament that they're actually going to achieve anything, or are they on the verge of making some serious changes? So they play Omit last night, and, well, these are the numbers. Let's talk about it. I think just as I look through some of these numbers for the results here, I've also got to mention that they're playing at lots of scrims, and this could be a good or a bad thing, but I think my feeling about it is this is potentially concerning. The Challengers teams scrim a lot, probably more than the pros do, but we are seeing FaZe play a Challengers team almost every day. Now, that only tends to occur if you need to, because the other pro teams are scrimming as well. They're just not streaming their practice, whereas FaZe are willing to accept the fact that their streams are going to be publicized here because they're scrimming the challenger teams, but they seem to need the extra set. I'm sure that FaZe are also scrimming pro teams. Shotzzy's going to kind of discuss in a second, but they are also doing like a third set of scrims sometimes to play a challengers team a couple of rounds, which other pro teams seemingly aren't, because we're not seeing Omit. You know, they do scrim other pro teams, but it seems like FaZe are putting in lots and lots of hours right now in order to try and improve, which I guess is a good thing, maybe, but it's also kind of concerning because they're seemingly having to put in a lot of time to try and figure out what their problems are. Is it working? Well, not on the evidence we have here. So they lose the vault, 250, 137. Unfortunately, we can't see the numbers. The only thing I'll point you guys towards on the FaZe side really is Cellium and his hill time, because there's been some debate on how they could structure their hardpoint. If you look at this, for example, Cellium's bottom of the scoreboard here, they lost the red card. aBeZy has 2 minutes in the hill, Cellium has 40 seconds. Now, look, I think there's an argument to say, is that the way that it should be? Possibly not. And I'm not saying Cellium is like the problem precisely. We saw how he played at the World Cup in Riyadh, one of the best events we've ever seen. I don't know if this specific game suits the way that he plays COD the best. It's pretty fast paced. We know that Cellium is a bit of a ratty player, right? Like, he likes to hold his spots and, you know, execute from there. This is probably the first game in some time that maybe doesn't favour that play style as much as previous games have. Okay, Cell has the most hill time on his team here, but they lost the map again. They did win the Skyline, 250, 124. Great, you know, seemingly anyway, takeover map here from Simp, which is going to happen every so often. He's the best player on their team as far as I'm concerned. They then played the Hacienda, and Omit won this one as well. 250, 224, pretty close map. This time, to be fair, Cellium 89 seconds in the hill, aBeZy had barely any, but Simp's getting more hill time than Cellium. And look, I'm not sure exactly how FaZe are going to approach or structure this, but it's definitely a talking point. And they also went on to play more maps as well. So the sample size was pretty significant significant, and they ran through the hard point again. They played a few more. They played a red card, which they lost. They played a, what was this, a protocol, which they won, and then they played the Hacienda again, which they lost. So here's the red card, 216 to 199. Fair play to Neptune, 56 eliminations. Banger map from him. Good map from Cell, but they lost, at least based on the score and stuff like that. Drazah with a bit of a weak one. And just, you know, they won this map on the protocol, but they played 8 maps here against what is a challengers team. I mean, fellow Craze, Neptune and Lunas. Good names, solid names in challenges. If they came into the CDL, where would they be in the standings? I mean, maybe they'd be better than Falcons. We've seen evidence of that because they've scrimmed them over the last few days. But I wouldn't predict them being anything spectacular, and yet FaZe are just very much struggling to beat them. Now it's scrims. Maybe they're just trying things out. Maybe they're trying a different break-off or a different rotation, P2 to P3. I don't really buy it, personally. FaZe right now are trying to figure out why they're struggling and how they can improve, how they can get out of this slump that they are in. Whether they even can, I guess, is a big question because they've never been in a position like this. And let's not forget, after the World Cup, if they didn't win the World Cup, Ronnie said it last night on our Dope Check show, which you guys can check out on the Breaking Point channel if you guys want to watch the whole thing, but Ronnie said, CDL Scrim Intel as he used to be known, that after the World Championship, FaZe came top 6. They were going to drop Cellium. This was what they were going to do. And if they weren't going to win the World Cup, they would have made that change. But they won the World Cup, they dominated the World Cup, especially Cellium, so they stuck together the team. My concern about this from the FaZe side is, this is kind of what OpTic did, to some degree, when they dropped Dashy, they dropped aBeZy, and then Scump decided, no, you know what, we're actually going to run it back and not sign Cammy and HyDra after all. That team was broken, they were papering over the cracks, and give it 1 month and one bad tournament, the team had blown it up, Scump had retired, Dashy was dropped again, it was all sorts of chaos happening. I'm not saying that's exactly going to happen with FaZe, but if they were this close to making a change, after their poor performance at the World Championship, and then they didn't, it might only take one bad event for them to say, you know what, screw this, it's not going to work. So this is what Shotzzy has to say.
I think FaZe are chalk. No. They're not chalk, man. It's just a fucking, they're just in a hump, bro. Simple as that. Every team goes through it, man. Yeah, the best team goes through it. They go through it for a week. There's other teams that do it longer. It happens in days. Like, I mean, bro, it happened to us last year. Major 4 got fucking... Not even just Major 4. We didn't have just like a bad event. Like, bro, scrims prior to that were literally like really bad. Oh, I know like what they're going through.
So understandably, Shotzzy is saying, look, yeah, they're not having a great time. Every team goes through it. They can get out of it. And sure they can, and I still feel like they could. But will they? I can't be 100% like sure on this, right? Just because of the factors that I mentioned before. And also Shotzzy just saying, like, yeah, FaZe are kind of struggling right now. They're having a pretty hard time. And I'm not sure they are fully convinced exactly what their issues are, but also what do you even do? That is the main problem if you're FaZe, is to try and figure out what the solution to this problem actually is. We are going to get some answers in the coming days because they play the minor tournament. They play Miami. If they win that series, which they should, but I would not say it's a guarantee, they play Thieves, a matchup which they are definitely not favoured to win. If they win both of those series, sure, FaZe are back. But if they don't, then they will place top 12 or top 8. And yeah, that ain't good. Ben J also from FaZe, not really from FaZe, but you know what I'm saying. He is talking about the fact that the season, for some reason, has waited a month for no reason at all. And as he says, this needs to be the last ever COD League season where we have a 3-week holiday break and no event in December. So, you know, he's not wrong that the momentum and hype going into the tournament, you know, we're trying our best here on the channel and elsewhere to keep the interest in the COD scene, but the COD League do not help themselves in terms of keeping this league alive. That's, you know, all I'm going to say on it for now. But anyway, these are the matches coming up this Friday. So a few days' time, this gets underway. January the 10th, finally the COD League will be back in business. And FaZe plays second match of the day against Miami. A Miami team that have looked, as Miami do, very inconsistent, up and down, but with the potential to come out and fry. Look, if you look at that Miami team, Real's been playing well. You compare that roster to the roster that we've seen in Challengers, just now beating FaZe 6-2. You know, can I rule out the possibility of Heretics coming into this series, winning both hardpoints against FaZe, and taking the series in 4 or 5? Like, it seems very plausible to me. So, yeah, concerning for, well, the FaZe fans, obviously. Can they turn this around? is Shotzzy's opinion bang on the money? We put together a bit of a bracket last night on the show as well, and look, we've got to pick one sort of upset in here. So we had Ravens making it to the grand finals over OpTic here, and at the end of the day, it's a single elimination online tournament. There are going to be upsets, there are going to be surprising results, but yeah, we had FaZe winning, although this one really came down to the wire. I was very tempted actually to take Miami 3-2, but I thought, you know what, I'll give FaZe this one, but it's just tough to argue them making it too much further than that. But very much interested your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.